My husband suffered from face blindness, which led him to mistake 20 different women for me. The first time, he was passionately kissing an intern in an office cubicle, completely lost in the moment. The second time, he was in our king-sized bed with his assistant. The third time, I found him rolling around playfully on a lush green lawn with a beauty queen from the dance department. Each time, I would show him our marriage certificate, and he'd fall to his knees before me, crying his heart out. Stella, please don't scorn me. I truly mistook them for you. Because of this, I wore the same clothes every day and even let him draw an exclusive heart on my face. Then, his first love returned from abroad. I watched him navigate through the crowded airport, walk straight up to her, embrace her warmly, and affectionately call out her name. Chloe, welcome back. That's when I realized he didn't have face blindness at all. He only had selective face blindness. In that moment, I took off my wedding ring, my heart completely broken. Liam brought Chloe home, and when he saw me, he looked utterly innocent. Who are you, and why are you in my house? I'm warning you. Don't even think about ruining things between my wife and me. Leave immediately. At that moment, I didn't even have the interest to show him the marriage certificate as proof. I stared intently into his eyes, hoping to find a hint of shame or guilt, but all I saw was disdain and scorn. In that instant, I suddenly wanted to laugh. I realized how foolish and pitiful I had been. He must have been so proud, playing me for a fool for 3 years. He probably even laughed at me behind my back. Who told you to be so stupid and blindly devoted? You deserved to be tricked. I couldn't help but wonder if Liam had a heart at all. I spoke coldly, revealing the cruel past. Liam, your face blindness has flared up again. You actually brought your enemy's daughter home. Years ago, she colluded with Caleb, from the rival Lee family, to frame the Davies family for smuggling, leading to the Davies' bankruptcy and Mr. Davies' tragic death. Have you forgotten? When you confronted her, she had her bodyguards pin you down in the rain and beat you, breaking your leg and 3 ribs. That's when your mental trauma led to your face blindness. It had only been 6 years since those bloody events. I couldn't believe he would forget. A flicker of emotion crossed Liam's face, but before he could speak, Chloe interjected. Honey, you just gave me a huge hickey on my neck, and you even texted me saying you'd only love me for this lifetime. Have you forgotten? As she spoke, she pulled aside her collar, revealing a large hickey, and looked at me provocatively. Chloe then wrapped her arm around Liam's. Honey, I love you. I've already sworn to you that no matter what you do, I'll stand by you without regret. Liam's face lit up with affection, and he pulled her into an embrace. All right, this time I'll make sure you can never leave me. Then, he yelled at me. Where did you come from, you fraud? I have face blindness. I'm not stupid. I still remember my wife's scent. Get out immediately. Just as the bodyguards moved to escort me out, Chloe gave me a sinister smile. Honey, we can't just send her away so easily. What if she's a setup by a rival, trying to find dirt on you? I think it's best to lock her up and interrogate her thoroughly. We shouldn't leave any loose ends. Liam nodded and instructed his bodyguards. Lock her in the basement and interrogate her with the interrogation tools. She won't be released until she reveals her mastermind. The bodyguards hesitated, looking at me, then at Liam, before finally speaking up. Mr. Liam, she truly is your wife, not a fraud. Liam erupted in a furious rage, kicking one of the bodyguards. You imbecile, don't you think I'd recognize my own wife? Tell me, have you all been bribed by her? At his words, the bodyguards immediately stopped arguing and dragged me towards the basement. With a thud, I was thrown to the ground. The bodyguards looked at me apologetically. Madam, Mr. Liam is having one of his episodes again. We have no choice but to offend you. With that, they took out a whip from the basement and brought it down hard. A wave of searing pain washed over me. Tell us, who sent you as a spy? The bodyguards shouted, trying to sound fierce. I watched the bodyguards' hesitant movements and realized they were holding back. Just as they slowly raised the whip for a second strike, Chloe appeared at the top of the stairs, arm in arm with Liam. Are you all starving? At's displeased tone. Liam's face also clouded with anger. Beat her hard and make her reveal who's behind this. The bodyguards had no choice but to raise their whips and strike me several times. Flesh tore, and blood dripped onto the dusty floor. Seeing me grit my teeth and remain silent, Chloe stepped forward and whispered softly, Honey, aren't women most afraid of snakes and dogs? How about we get some snakes and guard dogs to entertain her? Liam hesitated for a moment. Chloe immediately frowned, displeased. You're not falling for this woman, are you? If so, then I'm leaving. As she spoke, she quickly leaned in and whispered something into his ear. Liam panicked instantly and grabbed Chloe's arm. Wife, we promised each other forever. You can't leave me. With a wave of his hand, he commanded, You all, go find some snakes and dogs. Make this bitch suffer. The bodyguards didn't dare hesitate and immediately went out to prepare. My heart clenched. That bitch Chloe knew I was bitten badly by a snake as a child and was terrified of them. I looked at Liam, desperately shouting, Liam, you've gone mad. I'm the one who helped you rebuild the Davies. And this is how you treat me? Liam, Chloe ruined your family and left you utterly devastated. Your leg still aches on rainy days. Have you forgotten all of that? Liam froze, a look of conflict on his face. Seeing this, Chloe immediately rushed over and slapped me across the face. Bitch, if you utter another word of nonsense, I'll sew your mouth shut. As she spoke, the bodyguards brought over a basket full of snakes. Chloe immediately ordered them to lift the basket and dump all of them onto me. Instantly, their slimy, repulsive bodies wriggled over me, coiling around my neck. My heart immediately constricted, my whole body trembled, and I couldn't stop myself from vomiting. As I frantically struggled in terror, the snakes eventually scattered away. Seeing the bodyguards about to unleash the guard dogs, Liam's face showed a flicker of reluctance. If you kneel and apologize to my wife, and stay quietly in the villa from now on, we'll let you go. In that moment, I understood completely. So, Liam wanted to control me, to turn me into his puppet, making it easier for him to brazenly carry on with Chloe. I gathered my strength, stood up, and slowly walked towards him, tears welling in my eyes as I looked at him. You want me to kneel and apologize to Chloe? His face stiffened for a moment. Then I slapped him across the face. Liam, stop acting. Let's get a divorce. A husband who's been married yet slept with 20 different women by mistake, is he truly face blind? Which of those 20 women didn't resemble your first love? Chloe? Liam was immediately choked by my words, then retorted angrily. Those were all due to severe episodes of my illness. I mistook them for my wife. You can't blame me for that. I scoffed. What about her? I saw you at the airport. You recognized her easily. A flicker of irritation crossed Liam's face, and he shoved me away. Of course I know her. She's my wife, and I'll always remember her scent. He then naturally put his arm around Chloe's shoulder, looking at me with disgust. Don't you dare try to ruin my relationship with my wife ever again. Consider today a lesson. With a wave of his hand, several guard dogs lunged, instantly tearing and biting deep into my thighs. I couldn't bear it any longer, and the world went black as I fainted. When I woke up again, Chloe was sitting by my bedside, sneering at me. You were just a lapdog back then. I thought you'd amount to something, but who knew the moment I reappeared, you'd become a conniving bitch trying to seduce Liam again. I glared furiously at Chloe, this ruthless woman. Years ago, my family and Liam's were old acquaintances. We practically grew up as childhood sweethearts, and both our parents had intended for us to marry. But then, during our freshman year, Chloe appeared. She was flamboyant and wild, daring to do hot dances in front of all the boys and chugging straight from liquor bottles. She was like a fire, igniting Liam's calm heart. From that day on, he forgot my birthday and would leave me alone on the road in the middle of the night, all because Chloe said she had a headache. When wanted strawberries in the dead of winter, that foolish boy broke into a supermarket at night and gleefully delivered them to her. During our senior year, the Davies was framed for smuggling, and the Davies family was instantly bankrupt. Mr. Davies also suffered a sudden heart attack and passed away in the hospital. Meanwhile, Chloe abandoned Liam and eloped abroad with Caleb. Liam was utterly devastated, suffered severe mental trauma, and developed face blindness. I knelt before my father, offering half of my assets to help Liam rise again, and together we suppressed the Lee, forcing them into bankruptcy. The moment the Davies stood at its peak once more, Liam, holding a bouquet of flowers, proposed to me in front of the entire city, vowing to love me for a lifetime. After we married, I sought out doctors and remedies to treat his mental illness. Though the results were inconsistent, he would sob remorsefully in my arms, and I, for his sake, always wore the same clothes and kept the same hairstyle, all so he might remember me. I never imagined that with the appearance of just one person, all his mental illnesses would vanish. Chloe smugly pinched the wound on my leg. Then a cruel glint flashed across her face. Stella, be smart and get out now, or I'll make sure you have no place to be buried. I endured the pain, pushed Chloe away, and said contemptuously, "You slutty bar girl, trying to seize my Sioux family's assets? Dream on." Chloe's face immediately darkened, a chilling expression washing over it. "Fine, then I'll show you how you're going to die." With that, she suddenly stumbled and fell to the ground, hitting her forehead on the bedside table, which immediately started bleeding profusely. The door instantly flew open, and Liam stared in shock at Chloe lying on the ground. His face changed dramatically as he rushed forward and pulled her into his arms. "Wife, what happened to you?" Chloe raised her hand and pointed at me, angrily stating, "Honey, I just wanted to ask her a few more questions, to make sure there wasn't a misunderstanding, but she suddenly pushed me down. Honey, this woman is trying to seduce you. She just can't stand me. This time, you really need to teach her a lesson." Liam frowned for a long time before speaking in a low voice. "If she's this violent, then send her to a psychiatric hospital to calm down." My pupils constricted. I stared at Liam in disbelief. We had been to psychiatric hospitals many times for his treatment, and I knew the agony and torment within, the howls of countless mental patients. Electroshock therapy, people sealed like dogs in small rooms, it was enough to drive anyone insane in an instant. He once held me tightly, saying he'd rather die than be sent there, that I should never send him there. But today, because of Chloe's casual words, he was sending me to that hellish place. Watching tightly embrace and comfort Chloe, my heart suddenly grew calm. There was no longer any stinging pain or suffocation. "Chloe, I agree to your terms. Don't send me to a psychiatric hospital." At 8 o'clock that evening, when Chloe appeared in the hospital room holding a plane ticket, I calmly tore it up and threw it on the floor. Chloe's face instantly contorted with rage. "Stella, you tricked me. Do you believe I can make you die in that psychiatric hospital?" I smiled faintly, my gaze sharp as I looked at her. "Chloe, what good would my death in there do you? Do you think by getting rid of me, you can take over the merged Davies Sioux Company? Don't forget, it was you who broke Liam's leg, and you who abandoned him back then. Are you sure he's not just playing with you now, only to get 10 times his revenge later?" Chloe fell silent, looking at me with suspicion. I spoke slowly. "Let's work together. I'll send Liam to hell, and you can take half of his assets." Chloe thought for a long time, then finally smiled. "Aside from being blindly devoted, you're quite intelligent. I trust you won't disappoint me. It's a deal." 3 days later, at Chloe's insistence, Liam agreed to hold a grand wedding for her. When the news broke, everyone in Riverside City was in an uproar. Wasn't Mr. Liam's wife Stella? Had they divorced? Gossip headlines were eager, reporting the couple's new developments at every turn. They went to choose Heart of the Ocean gem wedding bands, took wedding photos in Nevada, and Liam brought Chloe to various social events. In the video, Liam's usually aloof face showed a joyous tenderness I had never witnessed. Liam didn't question any of the rumors or discussions. I merely watched the news indifferently, then began to inventory the assets of the Sioux under my name. At the same time, I called my uncles and other senior family members, informing them of my divorce and that the Davies would henceforth have no ties with the Sioux. Mark acted quickly, meticulously organizing the assets I had invested in the Davies years ago, as well as the merged assets after my father's death. These past few days, Liam seemed to have completely forgotten about me, pouring all his energy into the wedding preparations. The cheap, rented wedding dress from years ago was replaced with a high-fashion, diamond-studded wedding dress from the US, and the straw ring became a 10-carat pink diamond. Everyone assumed Liam and I had also had a grand wedding, but back then, the Davies family was already bankrupt. We simply hosted a few friends, and that was considered our wedding. Back then, his eyes were tender, and he braided a red string from his own hair, tying it to my hand. "Wife, I might not recognize everyone, but I'll never fail to recognize you." I put in my utmost effort, working with him step by step to help the Davies rise again, believing that time could heal everything, and that one day he would remember my face. It turned out it was all just wishful thinking on my part. No matter how hard one tries, you can't wake someone who's pretending to be asleep. The wedding was held at Starlight, the most beautiful venue in Riverside City. That day, Liam invited all the prominent figures and dignitaries of Riverside City. The moment the symphony began, and the bride slowly walked down the aisle, I saw Liam's eyes redden, his face showing unconcealed excitement and agitation. A decade-long wish finally fulfilled. How could he not be excited? just as the officiant announced the exchange of rings. I slowly walked onto the stage and handed him the divorce papers. Liam, if you want to marry your old flame, sign these divorce papers first. Liam turned to look at me, his eyes filled with fury, and slapped me across the face. Who are you? What right do you have to make me sign divorce papers? My face snapped to the side from the impact, and a coppery taste of blood quickly filled my mouth. The crowd below immediately began to whisper, Mr. Liam is having an episode again. He's even hitting MS. Sue. MS. Sue has endured so much, being so tolerant and generous, letting him make a fool of himself again and again to cure his face blindness. And now he's having another wedding. Liam's facial muscles twitched, and he seemed to gather his resolve. I don't care who you are. Get down from there immediately, or don't blame me for getting rough. Seeing several bodyguards approaching, I sneered, then suddenly picked up a gift box from the stage. With a ripping sound, I tore off the wrapping, revealing a cremation urn to everyone. It was conspicuously adorned with a photo of Liam's deceased father. Liam, do you recognize who this is? Liam froze in place, finally forcing himself to say, I don't recognize him. I smiled, then suddenly opened the cremation urn and scattered a handful of its contents. Since Liam doesn't recognize him, let's just dump it all out. As I spoke, I held up the cremation urn, and its contents poured out instantly. Liam finally broke. He let out a roar. Stella, how dare you spill Dad's ashes? I'll never forgive you. The moment the words left his mouth, everyone froze, mouths agape, staring at Liam. Isn't Mr. Liam face blind? How does he recognize him now? What's going on? Was Liam's face blindness fake? If so, then for all these years, MS. Sue must have been. Liam snapped back to reality, immediately explaining with a mix of panic and anger. Stella, I'm suddenly cured. I recognize you. You're my real wife. You knew I was sick. Why would you use Dad's cremation urn to provoke me? With that, he immediately knelt on the ground, frantically trying to gather the ashes. I let out a sarcastic laugh. Liam, stop trying to pick them up. It's just some lime powder. Did you really think I was as heartless as you? Liam immediately stood frozen in embarrassment, his face flushing red. I pressed closer to him, step by step, staring intently into his eyes. Liam, tell me, when did your face blindness actually get cured? After deceiving me for so long, don't you feel even a shred of guilt? Liam stammered. Stella, no, that's not it. I just suddenly got better. I truly didn't deceive you. Is that so? I sneered, looking at Liam, then walked to the large screen and plugged in a USB drive. Instantly, the silent hall was filled with ambiguous gasps. Liam, I can't believe how much you love me. You actually faked face blindness for 6 years for me, even finding different substitutes to be intimate with you in my place. Do you really despise Stella that much? You temptress. Who made you so sweet and soft? You were so cruel to me back then. But today, I'm going to have you. As they spoke, the two rolled around on a king-sized bed. Oh, you're so naughty. If you want me so much, then go home, get a divorce, and marry me. That way, we can be together openly. Baby, give me a little more time. It's not possible right now. More than half of the company's assets belong to the Sue family. If I divorce now, I'll lose everything. So, what are you planning to do with Stella? I'll just keep up the act. She loves me so much. She'd never proactively ask for a divorce. If she snaps one day and goes crazy, that's not our problem. The venue immediately erupted in an uproar, with various shouts of outrage and expletives. There's such a disgusting person who faked face blindness just to have an affair. MS. Sue must have been blind, dedicating herself to him wholeheartedly for all these years. Shameless. How can such a person belong in high society? Not only is he having an affair with an old flame, but he also wants to seize her family's assets. He's worse than an animal. Liam's face cycled through a spectrum of emotions, from red to white to pale. He could no longer argue that he was suddenly cured, or that the 20 women he had slept with before were due to his face blindness. Just as Liam was sweating profusely and racking his brain to salvage his reputation, an assistant suddenly rushed onto the stage. Mr. Liam, it's bad news. The company's core technical team has collectively resigned and has already left the company. Liam stared blankly for a moment. Just as he was about to speak, Sarah, his secretary, also rushed onto the stage in a panic. Mr. Liam. It's terrible. Someone reported us for smuggling. Now, a joint task force has entered the company for investigation, and all company operations have been shut down. Everyone quickly pulled out their phones, only to discover that the Davies had already become headline news. The story of Liam faking face blindness also quickly soared to the top of trending topics. Within minutes, millions of people had reposted it, and everyone collectively flooded the Davies' official website with furious comments. Boycott this vile, corrupt company's products. Restore integrity to society. Shameless freeloader. Go to hell. The company's stock price plummeted. Major board members called me one after another, begging me to spare the Davies. I immediately used the platform to solemnly announce that I would sue Liam for defrauding me and withdraw all investments from my Sioux family. The family's lawyers immediately took action, filing a lawsuit in court, determined to get justice for me. Suddenly, the hottest gossip in Riverside City was that the Sioux family's eldest daughter was decisive and resolute, withdrawing all investments from the Davies. The group was in turmoil, teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. The board of directors even held an emergency meeting overnight to discuss removing Liam from his position as CEO to quell the scandal. A week later, the court ruled, granting the divorce. Liam, as the offending party, having intentionally deceived his spouse during the marriage, causing physical and mental distress, was ordered to compensate me with half of his assets. The day after the court ruling, Liam found me. He looked at me with heavy eyes, then fell to his knees before me with a mournful tone. Stella, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Can we not get a divorce? I just couldn't accept it. I couldn't swallow my anger. I was so good to her, yet she harmed me like this. I swear, this lifetime, I will make her regret it. I'll make her beg on her knees. I watched him coldly, then kicked away his hand as he reached out to embrace me. Liam, how do you plan to make her beg you? By having passionate encounters in bed, begging you not to leave her? Liam, for you, I haven't changed my clothes or hairstyle for 6 years. I brewed herbal remedies for you every day and helped you build up the company. For 6 whole years. Didn't you feel even a shred of gratitude or guilt? As I spoke, I tilted my head back, holding back the bitterness. Liam's eyes reddened, and he apologized repeatedly. Stella, I didn't deceive you. At first, I truly suffered from face blindness, and I only got better with your care. In that moment, I truly recognized you, but I just wanted to be selfish for a while, to indulge myself. Stella, I truly do love you. I just wanted to get revenge on Chloe. I wanted to torment her, give her all the riches and glory, and then kick her into the dirt, making her cry and beg me. I was planning to confess everything to you after the wedding, then thoroughly humiliate Chloe and make her watch our loving relationship. I looked at Liam with amusement. So, he had been sneaking around in our marriage, planning to satisfy his selfish desires first, and only after achieving his goals would he come back to truly love me, so he could brazenly hurt me, letting whips lash my body and snakes disgustingly coil around me. Why would I ever want such a filthy, contemptible animal? I took a deep breath, calming myself. Liam, so you thought you could use your face blindness as an excuse to lock me in the basement, whip me, and let wild dogs tear at me? Liam, how could I ever want an animal like you again? Liam stared at the divorce papers I handed him, then tore them up like a madman, tossing the pieces away, and said through tears, Stella, I won't divorce you. I'll never divorce you. Even if it kills me, I didn't betray you. I was just seeking revenge. Stella, you love me so much. You'll understand, won't you? I suddenly burst into laughter. How could one person be so shameless? In truth, he had rekindled his relationship with Chloe a year ago. During every night they were intimate. I was busy attending one client meeting after another, securing new orders. His monthly business trips always ended up in Chloe's bed in the US. I leaned in, staring into Liam's eyes, spitting each word onto his face. Liam, are you still going to keep up the act? How do you think I got these videos? Did you think I ran off to another country to follow your affair? Liam, to tell you the truth, Chloe has already sold you out to me. Guess how much I paid? Liam's pupils suddenly dilated. He stared at me in disbelief. Impossible. Chloe would never do this to me. She already regretted it. I scoffed and tossed him the USB drive. Go home and watch it. There's quite a surprise in there. Then I said coldly, Liam, you truly deserve to die. Tricked once, and you eagerly went back for a second round. Do you really like Chloe that much? Liam stared at the USB drive in disbelief. shaking his head frantically. Impossible. Chloe is a straightforward person. She said she was forced into it before. I couldn't be bothered to argue with him further. I motioned for the bodyguards. Kick him out. He's not allowed within 100 meters of the company ever again. After returned home, he frantically opened the USB drive. In the video, Chloe smiled as she handed me the USB drive. Stella, here's all the evidence of Liam's infidelity, along with some confidential data from his company, trading it for half of the Davies' assets. You're not losing out. I smiled and handed her the contract. Chloe, you're not losing out either. You're getting another large sum from a man who's been discarded. Enough to live comfortably. Chloe covered her mouth and giggled flirtatiously. What can I do? It's not my fault I wasn't as lucky as you. MS. Sue, don't blame me for ruining your life. Who told you to crush the Lee family and drive them into bankruptcy? I just had to find another powerful patron. MS. Sue, actually, you should thank me for making you see that scumbag's true colors sooner. A man who mistakenly sleeps with 20 different women, what kind of good man is that? And you endured it again and again. On screen, Chloe raised an eyebrow, swayed her hips, and proudly walked away with a toss of her wavy hair. Liam suddenly felt a wrenching pain in his chest, struggling to breathe with his mouth wide open. That bitch Chloe. He'd foolishly thought she was just uninhibited and carefree, never imagining her to be so heartless and disloyal. He was wrong. Everything was wrong. He had only wanted to get revenge on Chloe. He had never intended to hurt Stella. Stella had stood by him during his most difficult times, and even provided more than half of the Sue family's funds to help him revive the Davies. He had long considered her family. He had never wanted to leave her. Liam raised his hand and slapped himself hard across the face. He must have been utterly deluded. When called him crying, he actually flew to the US overnight. He had foolishly believed her lies, funded her studies abroad, and even selfishly brought her back home after she graduated. He wanted to show her his success, his prominence. Stella had forgiven him 20 times already. What difference would one more make? Once he had tormented Chloe enough, he would surely return to Stella. When she saw that his face blindness was cured, she would surely be overjoyed and forgive him for everything. But now, everything was ruined. All because of that bitch Chloe. Liam closed the video and went to look for Chloe, only to find her in a bar, dancing provocatively with a few rowdy bar patrons. Liam immediately stormed in, grabbed Chloe, and began to punch and kick her. Bitch. I loved you so much. Yet you repeatedly harmed me. I'll beat you to death. Chloe shrieked as she was beaten, desperately scratching at Liam. Are you blaming me for your own weakness? I call you, and you come running. You were the one who said you loved me and would take care of me for the rest of your life. Liam, you men are all scum. Stella was so good to you, yet you faked an illness and shamelessly slept with 20 different women. You deserve this outcome. To be unwanted. How could I possibly stay with a heartless animal like you for a lifetime? I'm afraid you'd harm me and leave me to die mysteriously, just like you did to Stella. Liam, enraged, grabbed Chloe by the throat. No, you're lying. How could I harm Stella? I just wanted her to be less overbearing. I only wanted to teach her a lesson. I swore I'd love her for a lifetime. You're the one who tricked me. You're the one who ruined our relationship. Chloe's face turned purple from being choked, and the scene descended into chaos. Seeing this, one of the rowdy bar patrons grabbed a liquor bottle and smashed it over Liam's head. Blood immediately gushed down. Bastard! Let go of Chloe. You're looking for a fight. Liam snatched the bottle and stabbed it back, and the group erupted into a brawl. Moments later, the police arrived, and everyone was taken to the police. The security footage showed that Liam was the first to rush in and assault someone, and the others retaliated to help their friend. Furthermore, Liam had stabbed someone in the abdomen with the liquor bottle, and that person was currently in the emergency room. Once again, Liam made headlines, former CEO's rage for a beauty to public. This time, however, my Sue family was not involved in any way. The police officers began their investigation. The rowdy bar patron who was stabbed had 5 stitches in his stomach and adamantly refused to settle. Ultimately, Liam repeatedly increased his offer, and when it reached $5 million, the rowdy bar patron finally relented and dropped the criminal charges against him. Liam was released from prison half a month later, seeing the blinding sunlight, smelling his own sour body odor, and facing the empty gate. Liam squatted on the ground and sobbed in agony. There was no longer that warm smiling face coming to hug him and say, "Liam, it's okay. You still have me." Everything will be all right. Liam intercepted me in the parking lot. In half a month, he had become gaunt and haggard, his beard covering his lips. Once a refined young master who would frown at a speck of dust, he was now so wretchedly unkempt that he reeked. The moment he saw me, tears of emotion streamed from Liam's eyes, and he rushed forward, trying to embrace me. I sidestepped, and he stumbled to the ground, covering his face and sobbing uncontrollably, his voice hoarse and broken with grief. "Stella, Dad is gone. In this world, you're the only family I have left. I truly can't lose you. Stella, if only you'll forgive me, I'll do anything. I'll listen to your every command. I can be your dog." Watching the man I had loved for 20 years kneel before me, an endless bitterness rose in my heart. Why? Why did my endless concessions never earn his appreciation? After a long moment, I took a deep breath, my face cold as I looked at him. "Liam, we can't go back. The moment you picked Chloe up from the airport, our bond as husband and wife came to an end. Don't ever come looking for me again, because you're truly disgusting." In that moment, Liam's face was filled with shock. He finally understood that he had truly lost the person who loved him most. Chloe was right. Stella deserved better than him. A scumbag like him didn't deserve her. 3 months later, a respected family elder introduced me to his nephew, Ethan, a brilliant student who had returned from studying abroad. He was a very warm person. He would gently brush stray hairs from my ear and drape his jacket over me when it got windy. He would remember my every fleeting expression when I smiled in the morning, frowned at noon, or had a flushed face in the evening after a drink. Even when I wore heavy makeup, he could recognize me in a crowd of thousands and lead me home by the hand. Less than a month later, he proposed to me. I awkwardly told him my story, mentioning my divorce status. He lovingly pulled me into his embrace. "Stella, it's not your fault. You are a loyal and righteous woman, worthy of my lifelong love." That day, my hands trembled as I put on the ring, and tears welled up. I realized I wasn't the blindly devoted fool others had called me. As if to vindicate me, Ethan specifically organized a grand engagement party and purchased Starlight directly for me as a betrothal gift. On the day of the engagement, watching private jets with Jing registration numbers land on the lawn, I gasped in shock. Ethan gently took my hand and kissed it. "Silly girl, these are all your husband's friends. Shouldn't the lady of the house go greet them?" I later learned that Ethan not only had his own company but also his own research and development team. He was also the Chinese representative for a national research institute based in the US. With his hard work contributing to every research project, Ethan and my wedding quickly became front-page news in Riverside City. Sue heiress knew. Riverside City RD welcomes a benefactor. Brave and resourceful, the Sue family heiress is a model for contemporary women. The engagement ceremony was extensively covered for 3 days, and then another major piece of news broke in Riverside City. Former group CEO, in a fit of passion, committed murder with a knife, ultimately dying alongside his victim in the room. I smiled softly as I read the message. When my lawyer had asked why I wasn't pursuing Chloe for damages, I had indeed kept my promise and given her half of the Davies' assets that I received. I simply smiled and said, they needed some capital. Otherwise, how could they have the audacity to fight back and gloat? After the divorce, Liam not only compensated me with half of the family assets, but also had many minor issues uncovered during his audit. After extensive damage control, he finally settled everything, but nearly all of the Davies' partners had abandoned him. Coupled with the fact that everyone in Riverside City knew about his disreputable conduct, he had little left after cashing out his shares, and no one was willing to partner with him anymore. He begged everyone he knew for partnerships, only to return disappointed every time. Meanwhile, Chloe, youthful and vibrant, quickly became a wealthy young woman with the money I had given her, surrounded by handsome guys. One day, Liam was blocking the entrance of the hotel, hoping to secure a partnership with Mr. Michael, when he saw Chloe emerge, looking flamboyant, with her arm wrapped around a handsome man. Liam, recalling their past, was instantly blinded by rage and lunged to hit Chloe. But the Chloe of today was no longer the same. She had a posse of thugs with her, who immediately grabbed Liam and gave him a brutal beating. That day, Chloe ground her heel into his face as she walked off triumphantly, warning him that if he bothered her again, she would break his legs. Liam went home to recover for a whole week. Staring at his empty little room, he turned and snuck into Chloe's house under the cover of darkness. He didn't say a word, simply took a knife and brutally stabbed Chloe 18 times. then finally set the room ablaze and died in the inferno himself. His long-standing feud with Chloe vanished in the blaze. Years later, the autumn grass rustled before Liam's gravestone, and I was holding Leo as we attended a colleague's father's funeral. Leo's innocent voice chimed in. "Mom, why doesn't this gravestone have any flowers? It's so sad." I looked at the desolate gravestone and said calmly, "Because the person in this grave didn't know anyone else. No one knew him either, and so no one brought him flowers." Leo suddenly understood. "Mom, I get it now. If you give flowers to others, they'll give flowers back to you." I smiled, kissed Leo, and strode out of the cemetery. From then on, I made sure to give flowers to myself, and my life became fragrant. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any thoughts about this story, feel free to share them in the comments section. Here is Roses and Love, sharing stories about marriage and women every day. See you tomorrow.